Good morning, everyone, and welcome to American Scousers Morning Coffee or Tea with American Scouser on a Friday, where we are as reckless as we can be. We're so reckless, Anand didn't even make it, but Kazi is in the house. What's happening?
Yeah, it's been a while since I've done one of these morning shows, so I'm excited, Tim.
Dude, you've been out of action for what, 2 Fridays before
Two
this, right?
Fridays, yeah. The payment never went through, so I had to wait for the payment to go through from you, and then I'm back now, aren't I? So it's all good.
Hey, you got to earn your right, man. That's how I roll over here. Obviously, it's the international break. Not a lot going on Liverpool-wise, or Liverpool-specific, let's say. We'll talk about Curtis and stuff like that. Obviously, he had like a good game yesterday.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the full game. I just read everywhere that he had a good game, and I saw the highlights, so I saw the goal, and that is a very Curtis goal, by the way. Like, just full of confidence and kind of semi-cocky and stuff like that. So, but let's start with the whole snorting Coote ordeal over here. I know you were on the show last night with the boys, and I have not been able to because everything. Usually I listen to the Thursday shows. I watch them like the next day. So I'm assuming you guys addressed it as well, the whole Coote ordeal. But what do you make of this as of things are now with the second video coming out and stuff like that? And I'm hearing there is more.
Mm-hmm.
Is did this guy really piss somebody off, or is he like constantly have a fucking camera crew going around with them taking videos of him, or what?
I feel like when I made the joke about the payment not going through, I don't think David Coote's blackmail payment has went through to these guys. It just keeps continuing to get worse and worse. But no, this is such a difficult one, fella. Right? I'm not big into the conspiracies of he's purposely going out there to referee against Liverpool. I don't think that at all. I mentioned this last night, so a little bit, and I think it's important that we mention it again. What he says in the video about Liverpool's shit and Jurgen Klopp's a cunt and stuff, right? Jurgen Klopp on the sideline is a cunt. We need to remember that he's probably not the nicest person on the sideline.
I can see that. Like, I wouldn't want to be a fourth ref and fuck any of these games. That's probably the worst job in the world. So I get that. Yeah,
exactly. So I do see that, and I understand where that opinion would come from. Jurgen Klopp was extremely passionate on the sidelines, and he did not care too much for referees or fourth officials, and I can see why you would have that opinion. So let's get that right. The bit which no one's mentioned, even on like Stick to Football podcast and other podcasts, is that he calls him a German cunt, which I have more of an issue with, the German part. Like,
yes, we talked about that with Mateusz. I'll be honest, I didn't catch it either. It didn't strike me as a big ordeal initially because maybe the whole thing was so big. But Mateusz also picked up on that German thing because it kind of is very specific, right?
Yeah. And listen, I understand, of course, being from England, Germany kind of rivalry, and I understand, you know, where this stems back from, but it just seems a bit, just a little bit tasteless kind of thing. Listen, going back to it again, I don't think he's purposely went out there to go against Liverpool. One thing that I do think is that what stoked the fires of this is that on Saturday was one of the worst refereeing calls I've ever seen, which was Leon Bailey pulling down Mo Salah, which he didn't think was a foul, which is absolutely insane in any walk of football, in the history of football. That is a foul. And David Coote waved it off. It's lucky Darwin Núñez puts it in the net. It really is lucky Darwin Núñez.
I only saw Gallia mention this because I never looked at him to see like his hand motion, like advantage, or like he just keeps running. Would he have pulled it back?
Mate, no. He goes like this times, like no foul, before Darwin puts it in the net. And he's very clear that it's no foul. He waves it off. Like, that's not a foul.
That is a ridiculous call. But then again, Mo never gets any calls. But you're not buying the conspiracy theory. You just...
Not really. No, I just think he's had a night out and he's saying things that referees will probably say about everyone. I think players would say the same. I think referees say the same. They're all human beings, by the way. We need to remember this. They're not robots. They're all human beings. The difference is, of course, for Coote is that it was recorded, which the funniest part of all this, which no one seems to mention as well, he's put the second video out going, hey, that can't go out anywhere. Like, don't release that video. Instead of going, hey, mate, can you delete that video? Like,
I was talking about that. Why wouldn't you just say, "Hey, yeah, just eat that"? Or I guess my biggest thing is who's watching this video? Like, who is that audience that he's saying, "Hey, don't get this out there"? Like, is it Oliver and Taylor and those guys watching it, laughing it up? But I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't. I know what you're saying in terms of like they're human, and like everybody's gonna talk shit and stuff like that. But there are positions where you just can't fucking be doing that in public. You know what I mean? You better really make sure that stuff is not getting out. And it's not like he's talking in the corner of the room and somebody has it on the table or something like that. He is talking straight freaking into it. So I don't know if it's like a group chats and stuff like that. I'm sure there's like going on now as Anand joins us over here, but I wish there was more coming out in terms of like the context of the video, why it was recorded. Because to me, it really looks like when I watched that video, it looks like a dude who saw Coote talking shit, like as they're like high or apparently coked up. Now we know. We didn't know at the time, right? We were like, they look smashed on something. Now we know what it is. But it looks like they're chilling there. Coote is saying all kinds of crazy shit. So he pops out the phone and gets it on record because he eggs the conversation. It's not like it just pops out there. He almost says, "Hey, what were you saying about Liverpool?" And that makes him say it again because he probably talked all kinds of shits before. Yeah. So I think, and then probably blackmails him, and when the check is not in the mail, he throws it out there.
And I mean, again, you're probably right, and I do feel like it's such a weird one, fella, in terms of why it's got out now, which I'm really. Oh, by the way, the person who was sitting on that video for 4 years, how you had the patience, I don't know. Like, I like that's patience.
Well, I think somebody was paying for that patience.
Yeah, exactly. Someone's paying for the patience, I suppose. But no, listen, it's unfortunate. Listen, and the second video was kind of a slam dunk for him. I said this last night on the Thursday show. This is a watershed moment for the PGMOL. It really is a watershed moment. It cannot be a closed basis. I've never heard of anything that the Premier League do not run their own referees. Like that to me is fucking insane. Like the richest league in the world, by the way, you don't have the best referees, because if you had the best league in the world, you go out around the world. Like we have the best players in the world in the league. We go out to get the best referees in the world. But no, we have this English and British mentality of like that's what they have to be, and that's fair enough. But they have to come under the Premier League banner now. They have to be answered for. You need that kind of confidence to be built back up in referees. But the one thing I want to mention as well, because it's kind of funny, every 50-50 that Liverpool are going to get this year, we are getting it. Even 70-30s. There's going to be some challenges where you go, because I'll tell you right now, there's going to be, because if there's another referee where there's a video out there or they've been put like in a bit of a sticky spot, they're going to go, I can't be asked that video going on Twitter, Yeah, that's a foul the other way. You know what I mean? There's a yellow card and let's go. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, Sergi says, and this is another thing. I mean, how do we know this video wasn't held as blackmail against him in games? I mean, yeah, the blackmail could not be payments. It could be like, hey, man, I got a lot on West Ham this week. So, you know what I'm saying? Kind of a thing. And him making it happen for him to get that. And that's why, Anand, I feel like there's going to be a lot more. There could potentially be a lot more coming out of this that I think PGMOL would be like, let's cut this short. And I almost feel like the second video is part of that. Oh, this is just a coke snorting guy. Let's get rid of him. Everything else is fine. Move on.
First of all, can you guys hear me well?
Unfortunately, yes.
Actually, almost too loud. Yes.
Almost too loud.
Yeah.
No, well, the question is, if they come out, or if he comes out and says there's nothing wrong with that video, then why were you guys trying to hide it for 3 years or 4 years? So that's the first question. If there's nothing wrong with it, why didn't it come out? How long did they blackmail you with it? And why did it come out now? Did you stop paying? Did you stop giving those yellow cards for their bets or whatever that may be? And the second thing, what was the value of the blackmail? Was it just money? Was it certain calls in certain games? We don't know. And we're probably never going to know, because I think one of two things are going to happen. He's going to get suspended for a few games and get taken off Liverpool games, or the more likely thing, he's going to get fired. And they're not only going to put it on this, but they're going to say because of the drug situation, and we don't welcome that in the Premier League. So either way, I think David Coote is done for in the league, and I honestly don't think he's that bad of a referee. He's made mistakes, but I think every Premier League ref has made mistakes. But I just think that this was the nail in the coffin for somebody like David Coote, and I think it's a wrap. I think he's done.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Gordo here. He's gonna be a scapegoat. They'll dump him and show they're cleaning up the trash and stop there. And I think that's why the second video is almost like, see, now it makes more sense, kind of a thing. And they're going to use that as that. So, okay, two things to ask. As the English guy, or Scouse, not English, let me ask you, because you mentioned that obviously the German thing I get. But the English ref thing, since you mentioned that, I didn't want to interrupt, but let me ask you. Because I know there was a huge outroar when, like, Tuchel became the national team coach. Like, don't we have any English guys that we have to get this guy? Kind of a thing. Is that an English thing? Because I know, like, as a Turkish guy, we actually, I would say, embrace foreign managers more, only because we feel like they're not going to have that built-in bias. So if you get a guy, if he's a manager, he at one point played for Fenerbahce or Galatasaray or whatever. So if you're like that guy, he comes over and then he picks a bunch of guys who are playing for Galatasaray and stuff like that. So as a Turkish guy, we normally embrace the foreign managers because we say, hey, he'll have less bias. But it sounded like English were almost offended that they had to go to a German to coach their team. Yes,
it was a very, very big sticking point for people that Tuchel was not British or English, let's say. It still irks people the wrong way. They feel like if we have the best league in the world, why can't we have an English manager to manage the English team? And it's very, very simple point, really. It's because the English managers are not that good. And
I mean, look at the Premier League. It's not like it's full of English managers.
Eddie Howe is the standout, isn't it? Andy Howe is just so far away the standout manager that you would get. He's done a really good job at Newcastle. Did the really good job at Bournemouth, apart from the last 18 months, probably. So that was the standout. But comparing Eddie Howe to Thomas Tuchel, it's like comparing fucking Margot Robbie to Susan Boyle, isn't it? It's no contest. So,
I know who you're picking, yes.
Yeah, over there. But I mean, again,
Boyle all day.
yeah, Team British, baby. But you know what I mean? In terms of Tuchel's won the Champions League, like managed at the top level in terms of those Chelsea teams. This Chelsea team was a really good side, like that Chelsea team when Mount was flying and stuff like that. It was a really, really good team. I think they still had Aspilicueta and stuff like that. So that was a thing, and it still is a sticking point. But going back to the referee thing, I do think if you're the Premier League, it doesn't matter what nationality the referee's from. You should just go out and get the best referees. These referees, by the way, gents,
would the English do that? If you're saying so much big of a deal, wouldn't they say, don't we have referees here? Why do we have to go there?
Yeah. And it's that, I think it is that thing as well. It's tough, this, lads, because these referees are getting paid averaging £150,000 a year, which puts them in the top 0.5% earners in the UK, because that's a lot of money that stretches far in the UK. And they're also on £1,000 a game. Paying £1,000 a game to watch David Coote look at that challenge on Salah and say that's not a foul is fucking insane to me. Like, that's just my head boils. And we were talking a lot about Howard Webb last night, and Howard Webb is in for a very watershed moment, and I have my own thoughts on Howard Webb. And I will never, ever agree with anyone who was a police officer in South Yorkshire Police, which Howard Webb was before he was a referee, and he's been brought up in South Yorkshire Police, graduated to be a South Yorkshire policeman, and then continues to be a referee, refereeing teams from Liverpool. And I will always have that thing in the back of my head going, let's not. We used to have some debatable ones with Howard Webb anyway, very debatable ones.
Oh yeah.
Like back in the day, and now he's running the referees, and that will always be a sticking point for me of what his background is and what South Yorkshire Police think of people from Liverpool anyway. That will always be a sticking point in my head of like, this doesn't, like, not to stoke the fires of conspiracy theories, but that's always been something in my head which I've never liked.
I mean, it goes on. No, I mean, here's the thing. You were talking about it earlier. I don't know if you were on then, but in terms of like, could maybe not going out there with a full-blown bias, looking at that video. But obviously you get the you get the sense that he might not go out there for that, but if you're a referee out there, it is going to affect your decisions. If you're, I know you manage a bunch of guys at your place, so if there's two guys and you have the guy like a guy more, automatically the human side of you has a mini bias towards believing his side more, for example, at the basics, right? It's just the human part of it. So if he's out there making decisions, if he's 50-50, he's going to make that more against Liverpool just because of the dislike automatically.
Yeah, I mean, some people may debate and argue, say he didn't really talk about Liverpool. He just talked about Jurgen Klopp. Of course, he did. At the end of the video, the guy mentioned something about we hate Scousers or something along those lines. But, you know, I've been seeing a lot of people online arguing, well, he didn't say nothing about Liverpool. He didn't say, fuck Liverpool FC. He didn't say, I hope Liverpool or shit. Yeah. But it's not like he said, so it's not like he said, oh, I hate Liverpool so much and Jurgen Klopp's a cunt. He didn't do that. He just mentioned a guy. And yesterday I was watching the Thursday night show and Kazi said, well, do you guys like it or not? Jurgen was a C word, right? On the touchline. He kind of was. So it's not like David Coote went out of his way to say bad things about Liverpool or say anything bad about the players. It's the context matters, right? It's a 4-year-old video about a former manager and he was on drugs, right? So it's two sides to this debate. Is it that bad, right? Or
what is that side of the debate? I mean, is there anybody saying, you should just get a couple of bans? I would like to hear their case because
so Gary Neville, and not that you should ever use him as an example, but Gary Neville's like, he should be suspended, come back, and then referee again, just not get any Liverpool games. He doesn't think it's that bad. And some people are like, no, it is. For me, you're a referee. You're held to a standard. This is not okay. And then I also look at the other side. He's a former manager now, right? And he's not there. So it's not like he said the current manager is a piece of shit or something. He just spoke about somebody back then. Now, can we retroactive and go back and review games he was in charge with back then and do something about it? I doubt it. But if we could, I'd be more interested in that than in him losing his job today. That City versus Everton, the handball that he didn't call. There's a few things that stand out that maybe we can investigate. But the club hasn't even made a statement, which tells you the club's not even interested in entertaining it. They're like, it's a video.
I mean, I don't understand maybe a couple of games. First of all, that makes no fucking sense to me. Not only because it's Gary Neville saying it, but so he's not going to ref Liverpool games. Is he going to ref City games? Is he going to ref Arsenal games that impact Liverpool? Is he going to ref those? Is he going to ref a game where he's reffing Brighton, who plays Liverpool next week, and maybe he's not going to show a red card to a guy because so that, you know what I mean? Like, if he has a bias against Liverpool and you're saying he does, then he should not be a ref because obviously he does not meet the requirements. I guess that's where I'm at. So not refing those games because he hates us. And if you notice in the second video, he's not too worried about, like correcting that's him saying the Scouser thing. I don't have a thing against Liverpool or whatever. That's not his concern about correcting the first video. It's more about what he said and all that kind of the entire video not going out. That's the part. Like, I just cannot see how this guy could have come back even before the snorting thing. And then now, like, they're saying, like, he was trying to arrange a party before the City Spurs game or something like that. I'm sure more will come out of that. But I guess that's my thing, Kazi. There's no way. I'm trying to open it up more and see, like, who saw the video? Where did it go? How did this impact it over the last 4 years? I'm, not naive enough to think, we're going to get all that because most of that is going to be probably buried. But at the same time, there's no freaking way I can see somebody defending this dude and trying to have him keep his job. If anything, maybe they saved his refereeing career in general, not the Premier League part, by saying, he had a substance abuse problem.
Oh, yeah.
He'll go to treatment, and then when he comes back, he'll be in the Championship or something.
Yeah, the Coke videos helped him. It's massively because you'll just come out and say, I've got a problem. First of all, a bit of background here. Cocaine in the UK is a very much acceptable drug, which is like...
Is it really?
Yeah, it's very common. Everyone, like...
I mean, I don't know. Do we consider it, like, acceptable here? I mean, not acceptable, but you know what I mean?
It's very, very accessible. It's very easy to get. most nightclubs. It's very easy
More
to
than
get.
the US, you're saying? Because
Yeah.
I mean, US
Yeah.
is the same way, isn't it?
Yeah, like by
Oh,
a mile.
really? Okay.
Yeah. So it's so there's that thing. Number two,
I'm not changing vacation plans. I guess we're going to London.
Well.
Yeah, Gary Neville's the CEO of football. Speaks again, and every time he opens his mouth, he talks absolute shite, which is always kind of funny. Gary Neville suggesting that he can referee other games in the Premier League is absolutely insane, and that will not happen. I don't think, because I think Liverpool will just. Yeah. By the way, what I love about Liverpool here, in terms of the club, have not made a statement or a stance on this. I'm just said nothing. We're going to wait to see what the PGMOL do before we make our move, which is exactly how you should play this. Because if the PGMOL come out and go, he'll never referee in the Premier League again, he's banned, whatever. Liverpool just come out with the statements and goes, we recognise what happens. We move forward with PGMOL's findings, and it's really good that they've come to this decision. You'll get one of those blanket statements.
Yep.
That's how Liverpool should play this. If they want to suggest that he's just going to go into the treatment centre, then come back and be a Premier League referee, then Liverpool will come out, I think, fit and firing and go, no, he's not. Absolutely, no, he's not. We also have and I'm sure you guys know this, the 14-6 rule with the vote of Premier League clubs. So any rules that you want to change into the Premier League, all 20 of Premier League clubs get together. If you have a value of 14, the vote, 14 gets the win. Usually happens anyway. That's when the rule goes through. Liverpool just use their power and influence to go, we're having a vote on this, and then just go to all the other clubs and go, do you want this side as a referee? You know how shit of a referee is. We're having a vote on this. Do you want to be a referee or not? Yes or no?
And it would look really bad for any club that votes no, because what are you benefiting? So everybody's going to be like, okay, here,
like,
get rid of him.
What's wrong with that?
Exactly. So there is that part as well. It looks bad in any club, but there's also a part where Liverpool just use their power and influence and go, oh, by the way, don't come to us ever again to sign one of our players. Like, it's just not, you know what I mean? So there is that as if Liverpool wants to really take it that far. Gary Neville, and our last reminder on this, I think, never, ever, ever listen to a man who played for Manchester United his whole career, who's born in Manchester, on opinions about Liverpool.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I understand you're going to have a bias. I know there are some guys, pundits, and you can tell they're biased, and I get it, because you're going to have a bias if you play for a club for like 10 years, 15 years, whatever. But when you're in that position, you got to be able to kind of like take yourself out as much as possible. And in the platform they're on, I mean, it's one thing, to talk to your buddy and say, yeah, fuck Liverpool or whatever, as a Manchester United guy. But in the platform you have, you're going to have to say, hey, this is kind of bigger than my bias. My job here is to be objective and stuff like that. But for him to say that, it doesn't even freaking like make sense. Like I say, I mean, he didn't even think of what I just said in terms of the other teams and how it affects Liverpool and stuff. That you're going to trot this guy out there, that as long as the games are not like Liverpool games, it's just freaking stupid.
I think Gary just wanted to say something different than everybody else.
It could be, yeah.
And he was very serious about it. Like, he wasn't, no, he was like, why would he lose his job? What did he do? What?
Or maybe Howard Webb was texting, maybe just saying any chance.
Or Howard Webb is on the panel with them. Yeah,
like as well.
Or maybe his buddy, they were buying it together.
I'm not into conspiracies in football, but it's funny how Neville and Kelleher, anytime there's a bit of controversy in football, they're at the fucking forefront and can't wait to get their fucking stupid opinion across. But he didn't say anything for 3 days on this Coote thing. It's really interesting, isn't it? It's super weird.
There has to be, like I say, the problem is, do they really want it opened up that much? And obviously PGMOL won't. I don't think the Premier League will either, in terms of like how much dirt can come out of this. Because I have like 1,000 questions not answered. Everybody's like, looking at, instead of digging up old Coote games and his bad calls, I think they should be looking into freaking this shit. Like, who was watching this video? Who's the dude that made the video? Why did this cannot come out for years? They should be looking at that shit instead of looking at a game 5 years ago where he didn't call a foul in the 33rd minute. Like,
genuinely, the question is, who's the video for? That's really that's the only question I want answered. Is it for a group chat full of referees?
No, nah. I think the referees would know his opinion anyway. I just think it's a group chat between like local friends from back in the day from school and shit. Do you know what I mean? I think it's that kind of chat because the referees would know his opinion. I'm sure they talk about it all the time anyway. About fucking hell, Klopp was a cunt today. Do you know what I mean? On that sideline, Johnny pulled his hamstring against Spurs. Fuck me, he shouted in my face and everything. Like, I'm sure they thought that anyway. So By the way, I'm banging into the idea because I'm sure you know this, but David Coote's record for City when he's refereeing is 100%. They've won every game that he refereed.
Yes.
And I'm banging into the idea of like they're in this court case right now in Liverpool, just digging up all the archaeological facts about City and just sliding across the table to the lawyer at the Premier League going, hey, this referee's come out and admitted he's been taking bungs, and here's the 100% record that City have got. I'm banging into that idea as well.
So you said the ref job should have the same ethics as doctors. You're asking for a lot. They should not be able to discuss anything in the game outside of the environment. And, you know, I mean, yeah, I understand that part of it. I'm okay with him, like, coming home and telling the wife.
I don't care.
Or like, you know, on the way to the game, it's like, oh, fuck, it's Liverpool this weekend. That asshole Klopp is going to be on the sideline again or whatever. I get that. Like, that's normal. That's okay. I mean, I'm sure doctor's not coming home and be like, holy shit, you should have seen the fucking how psycho this guy is or something, like the therapist. But I can understand him saying that. I can understand him coming home and say, like, how was the game? How do you think it was? Fucking Klopp on the sideline talking my ass off or something like that. I get all that. They're human. I get it. But the recording part and knowing it's being recorded, this is not like a phone laying down on a coffee table as they're the thing, like he's secretly being recorded. For him to
They're on the
record
couch.
that, it's so stupid. Like, I mean, I guess that's what Coke does to you. Don't do drugs, kids, because you don't make good decisions.
You know, the funniest part of the whole video is that he's got a Getty Images picture up of him and Milner on the sideline to go, look, there I am. Look, I'm a Premier League referee. There I am, a James Milner. I absolutely love that. And it's a Getty Images, and it's just Milner not even looking at him. He's coming onto the pitch as a sub. Like, I was expecting like a picture of like him and Milner like this, doing like best mates kind of thing, and let me talk. But you're just doing your job. It's like, look at me and the bus driver. He got
literally went to Google and he wrote David Coote, James Milner, saved.
We Getty Images. It's absolutely brilliant.
Like I said, every ref will have their favorite teams. It's human nature. It's just an idiot getting caught with his opinion. Exactly. I mean, I understand that, but I mean, the way he's getting caught, like I would be okay if it was secretly recorded and he had no idea. Like for you to go out and record it is like, you know, it should be a very anti-drug campaign. Video. Yeah, it's just beyond stupid.
By the way, how hot was James Milner's phone on Monday night? How hot?
Yeah, no shit.
Like, honestly, just going, hey, seems like you're a nice guy. Hey, David Coote thinks you're sound, so that's good. Like,
I just didn't understand, like, why the James Milner thing comes up. Like, why is it even brought up? It makes no sense. Like, we were watching it, I was showing it to Angie. She's like, what does Milner have to do with this? I'm like, I have no idea. Like, you're just like...
It's his way of saying, I'm not biased against Liverpool. I like them. They're not a problem. Look, here's a picture with James Milner.
But he said, like, this is like me saying, like, you know, I don't hate United. I mean, Rashford's a good kid. You know what I mean? Like that. That's just like there's one guy that I don't like. I don't hate.
God. So funny, but that's the end of him anyway. And at least he's been suspended and he's gone. I think. You know what I mean? So that's nice.
Let's hope so. I just wish, and I know we're not gonna get it, but I wish they would kind of like dig in a bit more and get all those other facts out. And I just don't think it's happened. The moment I saw the second video, I was like, oh, here we go. They're setting it up. And I think, you know, they're probably talking to him. What else is fucking out there? What else are we going to get? And then, which, I mean, does he remember half the shits and what's out and what he recorded, first of all? But, you know, this is a great way, I think, for like, hey, at least we'll save your freaking refereeing career. You know, go couple of weeks to like a thing, finish the season off over there. Next year you can come back as a championship. And even though, I mean, when you try it out there as a professional player and you see this guy as the ref, I don't know how that's gonna do it unless you were doing coke the night before as well. Drunken mind speaks to sober hearts. None of you ever started spilling your true feelings after a few pints. You know what? Those records are sealed, my friends. We do not talk about that shit. Yeah, it's like that racist who says he's not racist because he has a black friend. Yeah, that like it's the same vibe, right? Like it's like I don't hate Milner, for example, and everything. I don't know. Well, you were about to say something, Anand. Go ahead. Well, you look like you were about to say something.
I forgot.
Can we talk about something? Reds are going to win the league by?
I forgot. Yeah, but yeah.
No, I know that's why you go back, sit on the parade bus. We'll get with you in like 4 or 5 months over here. But I wanted to ask you guys this. I don't know if you guys saw the Kelleher performance yesterday. Yeah, I mean, we've seen him what he does. So let me ask you guys. First of all, 25 for him seems like a really low price right about now, doesn't it? I mean, for like if you're getting a starting goalkeeper in the Premier League kind of a deal. But let me guys ask you this. Do you guys see a scenario where he actually does stay and we move the Georgian guy for 40, 50 instead, make our money off of that? Move on from Ali. Like, or would you be okay, Kazi, for example, if because everybody's like, oh, he's so great and stuff. I think as good as he is, I think he's a great number 2, and we like him as a number 2. I don't know. That's why I'll ask you, Kazi. Like, would you feel confident going into a season whereas Kelleher as now your number 1, Jarosz as number 2, and I don't know, some dude Marosh as number 3, for example?
No marmalade?
No marmalade.
No, listen, Liverpool have an issue with goalkeepers right now, unfortunately, in a weird, nice way, because Jarosz looks like a keeper as well. Like, that Jarosz looks like an half-decent goalkeeper. The save he makes against Brighton away is unbelievable. It's a world-class save. And you've signed another £25 million goalkeeper. When we all kind of thought when the deal was going through, that was a bit weird. And like, why are we doing this? I think Kelleher will go in the summer. I think he's earned the right to go and be number 1 somewhere. But then you have an issue with Jarosz. Does Jarosz want to be a number 3? Because I think Jarosz will probably play Southampton away in a couple of weeks. I can see that happening in the League Cup, depending on Ali's injury, of course. Otherwise, Kelleher will play that game, depending on his injury. The one thing that allows Liverpool, of course, is that Alisson doesn't even need to travel for cup games. Just leave him at all. Even in the FA Cup, just leave him at all. Gives a fuck. Like, you know what I mean? You're not even getting on first of all, you're not even getting on the plane to Southampton. They won't go by coach. You're not even getting on the plane to Southampton. You're not even warming up. You're just going to sit at home on the couch and watch the game. So there is that. But do I see a thing where we sell a Georgian keeper? Absolutely not. No. I see Liverpool selling Alisson more than I see us selling the Georgian kid.
So it would be Georgian kid, Jarosz,
and then
Marosh. Okay.
Not next year. I don't think it'll be next year. I think it'll be the year after. I think the Georgian kid comes in as number 2 for the year under Ali, and then I think Ali goes.
See, I don't think he wants to do that. He would want to do that. I think it more depends on what offers we get for Ali in the off season, like if Saudis come calling in and stuff like that. Because I think if you have that, you're like, okay, then it's almost like loaning out a guy is what we're doing right now anyway. So it's almost like, nope, Ali's still here, so you'll go on loan this year to Sevilla instead or something like that, and then do it that way. Because I just don't see him coming in wanting to be a number 2. Where are you at with that, Anna?
I think he knows he's going to be a number 2. He doesn't want to be, but he knows he's going to be the number 2. He's mentioned a couple of times, I'm ready to compete, blah, blah, blah. But he knows where it's at. He's had the talking to, he's had the meetings, and he's aware.
Kelleher is not okay with being number 2 after being a career number 2. Why would a guy who's been a starter, the goalie of the year in La Liga, want to be a number 2?
Because he's gonna be a number 1 the following season in arguably one of the world's biggest clubs. So he can be patient. He's still young. And you don't.
That's what I'm saying. Wouldn't you want to be loaned out? You're like, just call me when Ali goes. I'll be over here and.
I don't know. I don't think he'll do it because remember, he's gonna get cup games. He's gonna get domestic cup games. He's gonna have different games where he's gonna get to play. And he knows, I know, and you know that Ali continues to get injured. So it's more than ever for Marmalade that he'll come in, he'll be a number 2, but he's very likely to play a lot more than expected initially because of Ali's injuries. So I think it's a win-win situation for both of us. I hate to see Kelleher go, but it's time for him to move on for his own sake so he can be the number 1 somewhere. Wouldn't be surprised if he ends up in a big club in England because of the performances he's putting on this year for club and country. But I won't be hurt over it because he was supposed to leave this year anyway. It just didn't work out.
The only thing I'd say on the back of it, mate, the only time I've ever seen this work is check to Courtois. When Courtois was just loaned to Atletico Madrid for like 2-3 years. It's the only time I've ever kind of seen it work, and everyone was a bit confused why they did it. And then Czech goes and Courtois comes to Chelsea and he's the best keeper in the world. So the only time I've ever seen it kind of work is maybe on that scenario. But it's very un-Liverpool-like, which is confusing. That's what I'm saying. It just doesn't seem like what Michael Edwards has done for 10 years. Do you know what I mean? Before he, of course, came back. It didn't seem like that's the kind of thing that he wants to do. The time he kind of loaned the player back and pre-signed him was Coote. You know what I mean? And that worked out how it went out. You know what I mean? He goes to Red Bull, and I don't know.
But are you guys more confident having a guy that we don't know as well, right? I mean, the only thing we know of him is the most we've seen him is because everybody is gay. I see all these stats like comparing his numbers to Kelleher's numbers and stuff. He's playing without like behind a really shitty defense and really shitty team. So it's like unfair to look at his stats over there and see what he's doing and compare. But do we feel more confident as a Liverpool fan having almost a more of an unknown, even though, you know, we've seen great saves and all that kind of stuff, as opposed to a guy that we know can do this day in and day out?
Kelleher's earned the right to go and be number one. He's very open about going to be a number one. And what he's done for Liverpool will echo in history. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that he's been that good. I know he scored the winning pen in the League Cup final and stuff like that. His performance in last year's World Cup final to give Klopp a trophy in his last season was heroic. He makes some unbelievable. I watched the highlights actually back last week. That's why I want to see it again. His save is. He's earned the right to go and do whatever he does. There's also that Irish Liverpool connection, which, you know what I mean. Of course, he's earned that right. The argument is that I'm sure Liverpool have had a chat with Mamardashvili to say what his position is in this club. Well, why would you sign? Because if I'm a fucking goalkeeper and you have Alisson, the first thing I want to do is sit down and go, why do you want me? He's boss. So I'm assuming he's been either promised game time or he's happy in being a number two. And maybe, I don't know. The argument is, of course, is that if you're Mamardashvili and you're Ali, and say that's the 1 and 2 going forward, you say, listen, fella, you're playing all the domestic cup games. Even if we get to a final, you're the fucking goalkeeper. Mm-hmm. Even like Ali will never win the FA Cup again for Liverpool. That could be the argument. Yeah. And he'll never get, like, he'll get a medal because he's past the squad, but he will never fucking win it again. Like, you are the final keeper, and that's how it is for him. And then you're also going to play the dead rubbers in the Champions League, and you know what I mean? That kind of stuff. When you actually look at that, though, Tim, still 15, 20 games. Like, if Liverpool go deep, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's still like, and by the way, he's from Georgia. He's going to be the number one. Whether he's a sub, like Kelleher is the Irish number one. Doesn't matter if he's playing or not. He's the best keeper. He's still the number one. It's not like he's a French keeper or a Spanish keeper. Like, especially Spanish, where they've got like 5 goalies, like Unai Simon and stuff like that. It's not like he's competing with them. It was a bit like when Pepe Reina was the number 3 goalkeeper, because they had Casillas and like De Gea or someone. And that was like the, you know what I mean? It was like, yeah, huh? How is Pepe number, you know, it's not like that. So there must have been a chat. Because the only thing I see is, mate, is that they maybe want to cash in on Ali because of his injuries. And I get that as well. I understand. But I just don't think, I think Ali's such a level above everyone else that you swallow his injuries for when he plays. It's a bit like Thiago. I know, relax. But apart from his last season, when he was super injured, before that, when he played 25, 30, 40 games for Liverpool, which he did, when we were going for the quadruple, you swallow his couple of weeks knocks because he's so good when he plays. Yeah. It's like the Ali situation. You can swallow being out for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, because you're just a fucking level above again. So it just seems very un-Liverpool-like. It's weird.
But I think it's a good, like going back to what Anana's saying, it's an easy selling point to Mamardashvili to go and say, dude, it's Ali. So you know he's going to be out. Kind of a thing. Because the guy knows that he's going to get time. So I guess in that sense, Trevor makes a good point in terms of, where did it go here? Don't want to miss out on this. Okay. I think Mamardashvili only comes over next season if Valencia gets relegated, which they are dead last in the league right now, but like 3 points out of like safety, if you will.
Get out of it,
I mean, yeah, he wouldn't want to go, but I mean, a guy like that can say, I mean, I still want to play. I feel like if Ali stays, we just loan him again to somewhere else. I don't think he wants to come in as a number 2. I don't know if he buys that theory. I guess my question to you guys more was, do you take Mamardashvili, Jarosz, or Kelleher Jarosz as a more, that's I feel a lot more confident with?
Don't know much about this Mamardashvili. I'll tell you like
that's exactly my point. Like, would you rather go with somebody? We don't know, but obviously we spend that much money. There's a lot of scouting out on him. We only know him from the Euros. But
if you would have got fucking relegated, you would have got him for about 7 million. So I bet Liverpool are fucking fuming as well. So if he does, so we could really do with him staying up, because Michael Evans just be like, fucking, I'm going to save you 15 million. But we just waited a year to get this done, which is also seems weird. Because now you're looking at a goalkeeper, I've just checked, who's conceded 17 goals in 11 games, which is also not great either. I haven't seen their highlights, but I think Kelleher goes in the summer. I think Mamardashvili comes in as a number 2 for the year. Then I think Liverpool make a call from there. I think Jarosz stays number 3, but I also see Jarosz moving on as well, because Jarosz got picked for the Euro squad, I think.
He
I was,
plays for him. Yeah.
for Czech Republic. So I can see him going, I played a small part in this. I played well when I've come in. And I
But what are you picking? I'm like, as a fan, as Kazi. Mamardashvili. Okay.
Yeah.
How about you, Anand? Go with what you know or go with Mamardashvili?
No, I'm going with Mamardashvili. It just makes sense. There's enough scouting done to know that this guy fits in this club and we want him, and it just adds up. And we know what he's capable of. I don't know if you guys watch La Liga or not, but I watch and I know what he's capable of. So I would take Mamardashvili. Again, this August we thought Kelleher was leaving anyway. I get it; he's doing great, but we thought he was going anyway, and a lot of us were okay with the idea of him going because we had a show where we talked about ins and outs, and he was one of the outs, and we're like, yeah, he's going to go, no problem. So It is what it is.
But by the way, I think he'll go to Tottenham. I think he goes to Spurs. I think Spurs buy him. I think Vicario's fell off a cliff for them, and they really need a goalkeeper. I think the way Ange plays, I could actually see that happening in January if he wanted it, because Ange's job is on the line. I think if Ange is still in charge in January, the way he plays, it could be a really smart fit as a goalkeeper for them.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing. I think we're like very high on Kelleher, and he's played great and stuff, but I think we're all doing this in the mindset knowing he's the backup coming in doing a job for us. I think, you know what I mean? And whenever something happens, we're always like, would Ali save that and stuff like that? So, and we talked about this before, like it's unfair to compare him to Ali, but I think a lot of the stuff where we say he's so good, like great and stuff is always, as a number 2, we have the best number. It always like ends with we had the best number 2, we had the best top 2 and stuff like that. So nobody says he's like the world's top 10 goalkeeper or something like that. People were saying like he's a top 5 goalie in the Premier League. I don't know if anybody knows that. Like, I'm not saying he will not be, but I don't know if anybody knows that right now.
I think I'd put him in the top 7, 6, 7. I don't think there's much better. I think he's better than Vicario with Spurs. I don't think there's many better than him. Like, and that's not being disrespectful. I'd look around the league. You know what I mean? Aaron Ramsdale and stuff. Like, he's better than him, surely.
Yeah.
Who stands out as really top level goalkeepers? Raya, Ederson, Alisson. I'd say Pickford's been really good last 2 years.
Would a team? I was gonna say. I mean, you would take Alisson over him, right? Emilio Martinez over him.
Yeah, I would.
Close, but not just. But I don't think it's as clear cut as
Oh, I think just upon experience, I would think most people would. Ederson, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Do you take? Somebody said actually Newcastle as a destination for him. Do you take him over Pope?
I think Pope's better.
Yes.
I think Kelleher's better than Pope. I think.
Yes, I would take him over.
I just don't know if we know that. I hate to not even be like, no, he's not, or yes, he is, because I just don't know if we've seen enough of a sample size long term, like a full season with him. You know what I mean? Like he is good for comes in, does his job for a month and a half, and then you see him like 3 Wednesdays from then, and that's it.
He played 30 odd games last year. Played more games than Ali last year. Do you know what I mean? That's
I guess, yeah.
It's the injury of Ali. Do you know what I'm saying? But like he's better than Robert Sanchez at Chelsea. If Chelsea the way they're spending money, I don't think you could go
exactly who I just looked up, Robert Sanchez, to see because holy shit, he's bad.
Yeah, he's better than Sanchez at Chelsea.
Robert.
And that also helps Chelsea with the homegrown quota, doesn't it? If you go and get Kelleher, it helps you. Do you know what I mean? That's why he's like such a vital commodity now in the Premier League, because he's a fucking homegrown.
And his age is an advantage. Like I was gonna ask you guys, like would teams prefer Kelleher to Pickford, for example? But I mean, how old is Kelleher? Because Pickford is, I mean, it's young for a goalkeeper. He's 30. Yeah. What is Kelleher?
I'm sure he's
25, which is, I mean, that's freaking like young. So does 25 almost seem too low for him now?
Yeah. When you look at the quality, I think when you look at the quality of keepers of like Chelsea and Spurs, I think you could put well over 30 million for them. Yeah. When again, they're desperate. If you want to challenge for the top 6, a goalkeeper saves you 10 points a year. We know that. And then I think he's better than both of them. I think he's better than Pope. I'd argue he's better than Leno at Fulham.
That's what I was. It's funny you mentioned Pope. I was literally just pulling up to see how much did he end up going for.
Is he better than Onana?
Yes.
I think he is.
Yes.
I don't know. Like you put him behind that United defense. Does he do better than Onana?
I think Onana lets so many goals in the middle of the goal. Like I see shots just go in the middle of the goal.
I'll give you that. I will give you that.
So weird. And then like he's better than like Fabianski and Areola at West Ham, I think. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. When you actually look, there's no like world class standout. There's like 5 or 6, and then there's a few which he's close with, and the rest he's better than, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, Kelleher is actually valued more now than Pope. Like on transfer market, his market value is 20. Pope is.
He's better than Dean Henderson at Palace.
But I guess Pope is 32. I didn't realize Pope was that fucking old. Maybe the Pope shot is a good one then.
Doesn't Dean Henderson go for like 25, 30 million to Palace? He's fucking crap. I'm sure he goes for like 25 million to Palace. And he's crap.
It was a lot. And, obviously there is like the, let's see.
He went for 20 and 5 in add-ons. Of what? Like if they win the Champions League?
Like, I mean, no, probably appearances based, innit? Probably appearances based or clean sheet based or something daft. But that's what I'm saying.
It's like 17.
I think if you get Ali fit and you got this Jarlos, I think Liverpool could really look at it for January. I think if a £35 million bid comes in and Ange goes save my job because my goalkeeper's crap, I think there's definitely an argument there. I think if you're Crystal Palace and you're trying to stay in the league, I think Kelleher can get you 10 points over Dean Henderson, in my opinion. I think he's better than Jose Sarr at Wolves. I think, you know what I mean? I just think, especially, the teams around there, West Ham, for example, who are really struggling, I think he's better than Areola and stuff. I think he could do a really good job for them.
The more we name names, the more higher seems to climb, right?
And he's homegrown. He saves this like so much. He's homegrown. Okay, there's a homegrown player for 10 years in my defense. Sam, he's 35. Like, that's done. He plays. It's fine. And he helps you there.
25 seems low now. We better raise that price. 25 seems
goalkeeper's market isn't hot minus like the likes of Alisson or Ederson. Goalkeeper's market isn't very high. So it's not a position where teams pay a lot of money for.
Which is really stupid if you think about it.
It is.
They can literally win you games, keep you in games.
They don't score goals. They don't do fancy things, so nobody considers it. It's that stupid. The football world is still stupid when it comes to that.
Van Dijk and Alisson have changed football. They've changed football because let's get it right. No one was signing that for the centre half at the time, and then we kind of realised what a centre half could do to new football. And then the keeper, of course, comes in, and I think they've changed literally how football works. Literally, Manchester United signed Harry Maguire on the success of Virgil van Dijk for Liverpool. That's why they signed.
What if he does the same thing for us? Kind of a deal. I get you.
Come in and do the same thing for us, and that's what they've done now. And I think a lot of teams are kind of realising if I just sign a boss goalkeeper, he's just sticking around for 10 years. It really helps Liverpool and it really helps us kind of thing. And I do think they changed football as to what we know it is them two signings.
But I think along the same lines, similar to like what you say about Van Dijk, there are only so many center backs that do that. And for goalies, we're saying their value, but there are so few goalies that you can pick and say, like, I would give 50 for him. I would give 60 for him because he's a game changer. There's not a lot of those guys out there. So that's
mentality, though, isn't it, of like football fans that we have to change. I mean, do you remember? Yeah, Tim, you're old enough, unfortunately, fella. But you remember the signing of Buffon, which heads fell off when Buffon went for 30 million all those years. What has happened? Yeah, like an absolute steal and a bargain. So we need to. I think us as football fans need to change our mentality that these are important players on the field. And if they do, instead of signing 3 goalkeepers for 20 million and you have to sell them after 3-4 years, that you can just sign one for 60 and he's there for 10, that you actually work out that you're saving money over time. So I just think we have to change our mentality. But I really do think he's a great fit for Spurs. I can't get it out of my head, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, I don't think we're moving anybody this season.
I just think, and the reason why I'm saying this, lads, about the January thing is to see some of the comments here. If a £40 million bid come in, and your Ange, job's on the line, you're still in January, it looks like you need a keeper, or you're Chelsea and you're Maresca, and you know how fucking volatile, your keepers are at the moment. Your keepers, let's get it right, the keepers are letting them down from a title race. Let's be completely honest and clear about that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Keepers have let Chelsea down from being a serious title contender, and 40 million comes in for Kelleher. There'll be it wouldn't be an automatic no, fellas. There'll be a fucking big chat with everyone around you. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, if you get a goalie like that, that's gonna. And I think it would improve him. Does it improve him that much? I don't know. But optics, it might. You get a guy, and like I always say this, like a goalie behind you really affects how about defense.
There's a thing as well about defenders, by the way, when you look and go, fucking how can you get him out of net? He's a fucking shit. Like, he's like again going back to the Q thing. The human beings, they all think the same. And then when Kelleher comes in, you raise your level up a bit. Kelleher goes to Van der Ven. Can you just stand 15 yards further forward, fella? Because I'm sound here. And Van der Ven goes, that's great for me, mate. And there's all, you know what I mean? So that's all apart.
I mean, I just know as a defender, there are certain things you're like, yeah, you can take a shot from there all fucking day because I got faith in the guy behind to stop any of those. So it kind of affects how you defend things. Whereas if you don't have any confidence, you're like, and then you're just like trying to stop everything. And obviously you can't stop everything. So I know it makes a huge difference in terms of like how much confidence, more than what the confidence we have and stuff. And that's why I bring up Kelleher versus Mamardashvili and stuff, because you can clearly see that the team has confidence in him. So, and that kind of like impacts it. But yeah, I mean, a goalie, I remember back in the day, I'm that old, when Fenerbahce went out and got Schumacher. Do you remember Schumacher, the German dude, Tony Schumacher? I mean, that dude would stop freaking like, I mean, you didn't need a defense. You just had like, you know, he would just do 5 1v1s every freaking game, and he would keep you in games. And he was one, actually going back in soccer history, he's one of the first guys that's he's part of that evolution of the goalie starting to play. I mean, back in the day, the goalies just punted. He was one of the first few guys who started like chugging, like throwing it with his hand to midfield and stuff like that to start counters. And now they're freaking like a extra soccer player out there. But international games.
I'm old to remember when Rusto was the goalie for Fenerbahce. Do you remember him with the ponytail?
Oh, Rusto, yes. You probably were going around saying like I look like Rusto at the time.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. He had that thing on his face. Nope.
Somewhere. Didn't he go to Barcelona?
He played for Barcelona, and then
went to
Victor Valdez came in. Yeah.
He was part of that World Cup team that was.
That's how everybody knew him in 2002.
Yeah, like proper, like, oh, who's this? Like the most Turkish fella ever. That's how it felt like.
Dude, yeah, he looked like a Janissary. Like,
he
also looked
with the hat and goal.
Yeah. If you have to like get like a person with a pen and paper, can you draw a Turkish fella? Do that keeper? Do you know what I mean? Like, amazing. I remember.
Yeah, he's like vintage stereotype Turk back in the day, but
I was angry.
He was, yes, good, great goalie, and he played for Fenerbahce. He played for Besiktas. Yeah,
he wear like joggers, sweatpants. Am I like in my head there that he wore sweatpants in a few games? Maybe I'm wrong. I'm sure.
A lot of the time he wore pants.
He did wear pants, didn't he?
A lot of the time.
I don't remember that about him.
I remember Rusto very well.
You wore sweatpants. Wow. Yeah.
So how much are we watching the international games this weekend? I know I'll watch Turkey tomorrow. I don't think, like, I didn't watch anything yesterday. I highly doubt this is kind of like where I take my time off from watching games, kind of a deal. But the Egyptian media, are you watching and staying tuned over there, Anan?
Absolutely not. I wasn't even aware England played yesterday. And then I get on Twitter and it's like, well done, Curtis Jones. I'm like, what happened? Did he have another baby? What? And then it turns out he sscored a goal. No.
Did you see the goal?
No.
It would make Szoboszlai jealous. Let me tell you that way.
Was it a free kick? Because Szoboszlai scored the same one from 2 years ago, and it was reposted.
Yeah, again, I see the same free kick scored 85 times.
No, I haven't been watching. Obviously, for me, it's now we're prepping for Black Friday, so I'm leaving at 8 a.m. I'm coming home at 10 p.m., and we're just waiting to get to that week, knock it out, and then I'll have some time. But until then, I don't care for the
Labor Day. You said this about.
Well, it's got to be Labor Day, President's Day, and Black Friday. Every single year, it's a calendar my family hates. But so that takes away the time from everything. But even if it didn't, I don't care for these internationals anymore. I don't find any value in them or entertainment in them. And I was talking yesterday in the Thursday show. I was commenting they started to feel like preseason friendlies. They're just a little over glorified. Like, who gives a shit about the notoriously famous Nations League?
Friendlies. These were the friendlies. They made him into a tournament ultimately anyway, but they just added more games. And based on like tweet, I kind of hate that too, like because people are not going to it. But then again, it gives opportunity for a guy like Jones to go out there and have his moments where he normally
would Jones go if 9 players didn't pull out?
That's what I'm
Sunday?
saying. Like, it gives him the opportunity to do that. He probably would not be there if all these people didn't call off.
Honestly, the Jones chat here though that Thomas Tuchel might love and go, at least you showed up, and he might get picked again and continuously now go.
Yes, it's a good opportunity to get your foot in the door, right?
Get your foot in the door, play well, and go. You fucking showed up, and these lads never. You're coming with me, and he might become one of his lads. Do you know what I mean? And we had this chat yesterday, a really good chat actually on the Thursday night show, and I because we really went into international football. First things first, this international break is already scheduled in the calendar. It was just friendlies. So this thing of they're playing so much international football is a load of shite. Yeah. This has always been scheduled. It was just friendlies. The problem is here that we have is that FIFA want the Champions League, but UEFA would love the World Cup. Do you get what I mean? So they're trying to create more money and get that revenue up. FIFA, let's get it right. FIFA would love that Champions League every year. I said that yesterday on the Thursday night show. When you get to the quarterfinals and the semi-finals of the Champions League, there's no better football that you could ever watch, in my opinion. I think those quarterfinals and semi-finals are the most entertaining football matches you could ever, have. Now, going back to it, I feel like the international game itself, the whole scenario, and I said this yesterday on the Thursday show, it's dead and the allure is lost because you get to watch those international players every week now. When we were growing up, Tim, hearing a player like Johan Cruyff, or especially in my day, the Brazilian Ronaldo, you could only watch him, at least in the UK, on a Saturday morning on Channel 4 for 15 minutes. Or you could watch him at the World Cup, at the Euros, like kind of thing, or the international tournaments. If I want to watch Lionel Messi, mate, I'll turn my phone on and watch Lionel Messi.
Yeah.
That's what that's done to us. That's taken that allure away of watching these fucking players. I remember, the 2002 World Cup has such a profound effect on my life because I was 10 years of age and I watched that 2002 Brazilian team thinking I'm watching the Harlem Globetrotters. Like, this is, like, I've never seen football like that before. And that's what, because I couldn't watch Ronaldinho, Rivaldo, or the R9 every week. The problem is now with the international football, fella, I would be so excited if I didn't see all these international players play in my league for the first thing, or the Spanish players like the Barcelona. Like, for example, we all have this chat about who's the greatest team ever, and we always go, "Oh, the Barcelona 08 side." It's because you watched them. You watched them. But our dads will say the Brazilian 70 side, or like that kind. You know what I mean? Or Liverpool's 89 time, 88 team, something like that when they did the double or whatever that is, with Barnes and Russian stuff. The international football, I think this is a really serious part of this. The allure is lost because you watched that same. You watch them every week, and we don't see these. But there's no mystery around it, is there anymore? Remember, Tim, I'm sure you watched Baggio in 1990 and think, "What the fuck is that?"
Okay, can we stop these age references over here?
But you know what I mean? No, it's
Tim,
like
I'm sure you watched Pele back in the day.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know you watched Di Stefano, Puskas up front, and that, you know what I mean.
You watched Real Madrid win their first 5 Champions League.
Yeah,
Congratulations, you're the only one.
You're the ball boy, but it's like that kind of like thing in it of like I just think we've lost that now. I really do, and
I think that's a great point, especially about like growing up. The World Cup was so much more special because you got to see the South American teams, and they play totally different than. So the Euros are cool. But the World Cups were really cool because you got to see those guys and you got to see like the teams from Africa and stuff like that, the different styles and all that. I think not only that, the styles have kind of, because these players have gone all over the place, the styles are not as distinctive anymore. Like you used to go to a World Cup and you're like, this is how South American teams play. This is how African teams play and stuff. And it was more of a clash between styles. Now, like almost like because all these guys are pretty much playing in the same leagues, I don't even think like the styles are that distinctive.
Well, going back to 2002, right? When Brazil had a friendly game, I was in Libya. Everybody would be sitting down in the cafe trying to see those guys play together. And everybody would wait for Ronaldo to get the ball and do his step over, cut in, and then score, or wait for the goalie to come out, drop the goalie and score. And it was such a joy to watch. And then the World Cup starts and everybody's got those Brazil jerseys with the round on the numbers, and everybody's so obsessed. Now, honest to God, can any of you name me the starting 11 of Brazil that are going to play? Can any name me the starting 11 Brazil that are even going to the World Cup? People don't care anymore because they just see this shit way too much. Even players stopped caring. 9 English players dropped out of the team the day before they were supposed to start training. 3 Italians, 4 Spanish. Everybody's just like, this is dumb. We don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah,
but
I think it's a lot of like the bills. It's just the worst time of year, man. Like nobody wants to risk their like
the dropping out part, and I'm right, and it is a thing, and I agree with what you're saying, mate. But I think also players know that the spot's guaranteed.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I don't think, you know what I mean. So that's why the allure of having a cap has gone. But I do think that is a thing of like we're not interested in the game. But if I'm telling you right now, if it was fucking when I was growing up and Brazil were playing England, mate, I'm watching that game like growing up because I couldn't see these players. There's a very famous match in Liverpool a law that gets told from Liverpool. Liverpool played Flamengo in 1981 in a cup game. It was the Club World Cup, basically before the Club World Cup. It was on Liverpool, the best team in the world, 81 with the European Cup and all that. Flamengo battered Liverpool 3-0. Liverpool don't touch the ball. It's a very like game. It's probably a game that you've never heard of, and that's why I'm saying it to the Americans here. It's a game that you've never heard of. But if you go back and see, Liverpool don't touch the ball. And they were like, Zico played centre mid for Flamengo at the time, by the way. Zico was centre mid. And it was just like, what the fuck is happening? Liverpool couldn't touch the ball. And they were like, what? Just because you never got to play against them. You never got to see them. So that's when Liverpool, like, it's a very famous game inside Liverpool boozers when you're like, they went to go to that Flamengo side. They went, do you know what I mean? Like, please give it a Google, guys, and like, for the US fans and stuff, give it a Google. It's very famous. They went to go to that Flamengo side. No, we were great, best team in the world. That's what we thought. And then this side came up and we didn't touch the ball. And I think if that, for our kids, like for kids especially, that the allure's gone. And us watching the game, it doesn't feel like a big game anymore because, again, you see them all the time. And I just do feel like that is like a serious thing that we have to kind of, I don't know how you get it back, unfortunately.
I think they were a lot more, especially back then. I mean, I remember, like English soccer was a lot more like just physical. I mean, I remember kind of like, cross midfield. Okay, put the ball in the box. Put the ball in the box. I mean, it was a lot of that. Put a big number 9 in the middle. Put the ball in the box. And whereas you went and saw these South American teams, and it was a lot more technical. And I think they've kind of brought that to the European soccer. While they were trying to get more physical and disciplined, because they were more about the flair, they changed that when they met European teams. European teams thought change. Hey, we got to be a lot more technical than just like freaking like clearing the ball every freaking time and stuff. But having said all that, are you guys watching anything or not as we wrap up stuff? Nothing. Everybody's taking the weekend.
I don't know who's playing who.
I can't. Ireland are playing England in a few days. I just found that out yesterday because Kelleher saved it, and I was like, "What's going on? They're playing." But as you know, I like to have a break.
Honestly, I found out in the last second there were games, and even after I found out games, I was like, I don't care. So I'll watch Turkey tomorrow play. I think they're playing Wales at home.
Liverpool about to go into the most intense period of football.
Yeah.
What do you care? We already won the title. You're already in the bus. What do you care?
I want to win the Champions League. I said it last night on the Thursday show. I can't believe that Liverpool are going to be in the League Cup final and then bring the Premier League trophy out at the same time in February because it's already fucking over because the big red machine's coming through.
Don't we play City in March or April? We want that guard of honor. I'm waiting for with David Coote leading it at the front.
David Coote just doing a big line off someone's back. But who cares? The Reds are fucking boss. We win the league by 12 points. I just don't understand how we're not going to win the league though. I don't get it. Like,
let's just hope we don't get another pandemic.
I'm not going into that right now because we're only going to be another hour. I'm just going to, you do you. I'll worry for all of us combined.
Say it now. Say that we're going to win the league.
We're going to win the league.
Okay.
Tim, you got to say it.
Come on, Tim, before we go.
Tim, I got to go to work. Say it.
Who do you think's going to win the league? Who do you think is going to win the league?
Who do you think is going to win the league? I'm hoping we're going to win the league, but I'm not going to say we're going to win the league yet.
So what do you need to happen? If Liverpool win the next 2 league games of Southampton and City, do you think Liverpool, will you say it?
I would say it 90%. I would say that on air. I would say if we beat City, make that 8 points and 8 and 9 above both of them, it would still be reckless, but I would be like, we're winning this fucking thing.
By the way, before we go,
that December, we were cautious before this international window, right?
Okay.
November, this one was awesome. If we have another similar one, key game being the City game, I would then say, we're there.
We have Newcastle away and Everton away straight after it, but we get to that. But before we go, because I think this is important, you said to me a few months ago, I think contracts will be signed in the November international break. If not, you're not going to be pleased. Where are you at right now, Tim?
I'm not pleased. I wish it was done and over with, but I think we're seeing more and more signs. The Van Dijk thing is going to get done.
Are you nervous?
Looking like. I'm nervous about Mo. You guys know where I stand with Trent. I really don't care one way or the other at this stage because I'm kind of irked. But I'm more worried about Mo not happening, them not agreeing to something. But I'm pretty optimistic. I don't know why I get this feeling. Maybe because the team doing well can only help the stuff, right? Because they talk about, everybody's talking about slot this, slot that. It's easy when things are going well. For everybody to get along and be happy and want to stay and do more of the same and stuff like that. But I don't know why. I'm like very optimistic, not as worried. Definitely not about Van Dijk. I'm slightly worried about Mo and indifferent on Trent, if that makes sense.
Well, so we'll do a little round table to wrap it up. Where are you at right now? Who stays? Who goes?
I'd say Mo and Van Dijk stays, Trent goes.
Anan?
Unfortunately, I say Mo stays, Van Dijk stays, and Trent stays. I don't think anybody goes.
I think.
Unfortunately, then, damn.
I think they go.
Because I wouldn't have minded it if Trent went. If he, according to the reports, he's just continuing to reject offers from the club. Obviously, we don't know if it's true or not. But I do think Trent stays, and I think the biggest part of, to think about it, if Van Dijk stays, Trent goes, because the offer is off the table where you'll be the club captain. Especially if Van Dijk gets a 2-year contract like they're talking. Now Trent has to wait 2 more years to be club captain, which is the really what he wants to do. So it is, Trent goes. Fuck.
I think Trent goes. I think it's getting to the stage. First of all, he won't be allowed back on Liverpool. But number 2, I think it's getting to the stage where, if you want to go to Real Madrid, fella, and if you think you get criticised at Liverpool over defending, fuck me, wait till you go to Real Madrid, because they're the most fucking fickle fan bunch. It's not like you're going to Bayern Munich, fella. They're the most fucking fickle set of fans in the whole world. So you just hang tight. So if you want to go and do that, no problem. But I do think he goes. I just think it's getting to the stage where it could be untenable. I would accept an offer for him in January. I would, if you don't want to sign a contract. I can't let him go for free. And I actually think it's better for his legacy if he accepts a deal in January and Liverpool gets 20 million for him. I do think it really helps him and go, okay, I couldn't agree a deal. I wanted to stay.
Even if it is like 20, 30, well under, you're getting something for it. And then you can turn it around and get like a right back that fits slots.
Exactly. What helps this case is Real Madrid need a right back right now.
It also helps his case as well that Conor Bradley's really good. I think that helps his case. That Conor Bradley's actually half decent.
I'm not totally sold, but you have Gomez, but I would think you would use that money and get a guy who can play back. But you're saying Mo and Van Dijk stays.
Mo and Virgil stay. I think they both get 2-3 year deals. But I also think Liverpool will cash in on Mo Salah in 12 months.
All right. I don't know. Like, things are going well, so I don't want to.
Oh, I want Mo to stay forever. I think we should. I would ride the legs off.
Which, honestly, like, I would be more okay with that because you're getting something for it as opposed to letting him just walk. So I would be okay. I'd be like, okay, that's fine because you got like 80 for 100 for him or whatever. But
I really want Mo Salah to break Thierry Henry's record.
Yes, I know. Same thing. And I think he does too. And I think that's why he stays. And I think Van Dijk seems to be the closest. Will be fine.
I think his most successful, impressive record is the 20 goals, 20 assists in the same season, which Henry is the only player to ever do it. I think Mo's on 10-10 already.
10-10, yeah.
So
we're a third of the way in, so not going
to man. Could you imagine him ending with the league, like Mo just winning the league and then having 20 goals and 20 assists? Like, and then you win
your wonder, baby. One
year Ballon d'Or, baby. Then you've got your Ballon d'Or, which is so
I don't even get that Ballon. Soboslai is winning that. But hey, have fun watching the weekend. Or
I don't think any of our players will ever win it.
And we'll see you guys fresh, bright and early on Monday morning with the Polish Prince. Have a great weekend, everybody. Take care.